I'd like to welcome everybody here to a public hearing of the Board of Selectmen that was called for the following purposes to review the proposed ordinances. The first one is the proposed flood prevention, climate resilience and erosion control board. The second is the Senior Services Commission. And the third is for Youth and Family Services Board. And basically what this is regarding is when we put in our new town charter 2 years ago, we adopted it. We had to review and create ordinances for any of our permanent commissions. And so all of these are existing committees that we've had before, and we were just putting them into a more formal ordinance process with some changes to either modernize or update or adjust to reflect current legislation. And so most of these are very similar. We also tried to streamline, I think, all our ordinances now, like, and have our terms for committees be the same, 4-year terms, and also just make the ordinances look very similar in terms of their structure, because I think it was kind of a hodgepodge, you know, all over the place. From, well, and it just kind of accumulated over many years, right? And so now we're trying to get everything a little bit more similar. And so this is just a public hearing. If people have questions about the ordinances that have been proposed, and then the board would adopt them at the meeting afterwards. So I know we do have some representatives here for some of the groups that have ordinances before us. So I don't know, welcome for the first one on the agenda, the Flood Prevention, Climate Resilience and Erosion Control Board. I know Erin is online, and maybe she can just spend a minute just explaining exactly kind of the major change, because this is out of the 3, I would say, the most significant in terms of changes to the ordinance. So Erin, if you just want to talk high level real quick, because I know there was some statutory changes, and this is kind of reformulating a little bit what the Coastal Resiliency Commission does.
Sure, thank you. Hi, everybody. Yes, so the Flood Prevention, Climate Resilience and Erosion Control Board is essentially a merger of 2 of our existing boards, as you discussed, Peggy. The Flood and Erosion Control Board, which was established by the board in 1955, which is defined in the general statutes, what their specific responsibilities are. And the Coastal Resiliency Commission, which was established as a commission by the board in 2019. When the town adopted the revisions to our charter in December of 22, Article 8 had identified specific appointed commissions in which the town should have and adopt. And the Flood Prevention, Climate Resilience and Erosion Control Board is listed in that section. And what happened, this is a result of Public Act 21-115, when the general statutes they updated essentially the flood and erosion control boards, their title, and namely to include climate resiliency within that board. So really what we're trying to do is align with both the statutes and our charter now. And the Coastal Resiliency Commission seemed to be the most appropriate fit to also serve as the Flood and Erosion Control Board. So the proposed language before you really is mirroring General Statutes 25-84 with respect to the specific responsibilities of the board. The statutes call out how many regular members shall be in this board, no less than 5, no more than 7 regular members. It does allow for 3 alternates. And more specifically, the responsibilities incorporate the authority to plan, reconstruct, supervise, and manage the town's flood and erosion control system. And in doing that, they're responsible for filing biannual reports with inventory of the town's systems that are managed. I can tell you, as detailed as it sounds, the Flood and Erosion Control Board, although has been active since 1955, does not meet regularly. And currently there are no members of the board. However, it is an important entity to have established within the town as it relates to funding opportunities and flood control opportunities and authority, really. And so adding on to that, the additional responsibilities from a resiliency perspective include developing the town's resiliency plan and recommending changes and revisions to be adopted by the Board of Selectmen. Also, in completing that plan, then being able to propose capital improvement projects for the town as they relate to resiliency projects. Our Coastal Resiliency Commission has been the successful recipient of state funding to update our climate resiliency plan. And that's just about to kick off actually tomorrow with a meeting with our consultants. So we're excited to get that underway and have that funded through a grant program. And let's see, oh, lastly, that's unrelated to the Coastal Resiliency Commission currently, but is included in the town's floodplain ordinance. This board will serve as the relief valve as a variance process or appeals process for the floodplain ordinance. So currently that responsibility is held by the Flood and Erosion Control Board, and that will also transfer with this merging of the two commissions. And then upon adopting this particular board, that would dissolve the Coastal Resiliency Commission and formally dissolve the Flood and Erosion Control Board. Any questions?
So, and I don't know, Walter, if you want to speak
Well,
on
I'm like,
the commission.
Hank
You have several.
is the chair of our commission. Do you
Oh,
have
that's
anyone?
right.
want to
Hank,
say
you're
anything?
the chair. Any,
Well, I don't necessarily have any comments other than to say that Aaron summarized it this very well for us. If you had any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. But as far as just to give you a sense of where the Coastal Resiliency Commission is, recognizing that the intent is to, for lack of a better description, is to sort of lift it up and move it over. And now this is the purview that the board has, the commission has, or the board, whatever it is now. To date, all the members of the current Coastal Resiliency Commission are, as far as I know, I polled them recently, all of them are interested in continuing their service. And so there's one thing where we don't have a lot of people jumping ship or saying this isn't what we want to do, or so we look at it as a commission, and there are two members here, they can speak and update further if I'm misleading you. But the general reaction is that everyone is prepared to take on the new responsibilities as part of this transition. And looking forward to it, and we're going to figure it out once we actually get there and say, okay, now what? What does this really mean to us? And get a little deeper into what our responsibilities are now. But yeah, we're from a perspective of one group being here and being tasked with a different, maybe different message and a different focus. Perhaps bringing a lot of what we're already doing, but just taking on a little bit more, perhaps, is one way to think about it. Everybody's, to date, as far as I know, nobody's jumped ship, everybody's over.
I'm not, I have one comment to make. I mean, as we started, that, you know, flood prevention and erosion control are really part of resiliency. It just wasn't a word that was used, but if you think about it, that's what it is. And so this group won't be looking at things to keep temperatures down. That's a separate things the town does on solar or charging stations. This is really about knowing that we have more storms and we have higher sea level, making it more resilient. The key will be wetlands. You already have a good inland wetlands agency. They have a lot to do, but there'll be things that are recommended to say better maps, new updated maps, either from FEMA for the coastals or from new maps for inland wetlands as well. And that's really important for resiliency. And the thing that we're looking at is, we started out as coastal. This board will really look at things we could suggest for the whole town. Because it's, some towns are just coastal towns because of our nice 14 miles from Long Island Sound to the northern boundary. We'll look at the whole town.
Yeah, no, great. And I think we'll just open it up for, this is a public hearing, so this is really to hear feedback from the general public. And anybody have any comments about the coastal resiliency, the flood prevention, coastal resiliency and erosion control board?
Or the resiliency board.
Right.
We have to sort of streamline the acronym,
It's
or
not me.
there's got to be a nickname or something.
For today, it's the resiliency board.
The resiliency,
Yeah.
we call of that.
Storm drainage.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
So any comments from the public about the ordinance? Yes.
I do, I have one.
State your name and address for the record.
Dennis Crowe, 141 Twilight Drive. I'm looking, I think it's a real good ordinance. I think one sentence in here ought to be possibly just edited somewhat. It's the second sentence in the first paragraph under section duties, responsibilities. Okay. Said the board talks about what it says, it has the authority to plan, reconstruct, RE is in parentheses, so maybe it should say construct or reconstruct, and supervise and manage the town's flood and erosion control system. That almost sounds like it's got authority to just run a system, as you know, and just commit money and all kinds of things. Maybe it's more documentation, planning,
Revise.
or something. It's just they have the authority to put together a plan that goes to the Board of Selectmen for approval, I think is what I've read elsewhere. So it maybe just that one sentence.
Is any of that language, Aaron, was that given to us because we had to?
That language, yes, Scott, it does come directly from the statute, 25-85 or through 85. States such board shall have the authority within the limits of appropriations from time to time by the municipality as applicable to plan, lay out, acquire, construct, reconstruct, repair, maintain, supervise, operate, and manage a flood prevention, climate resilience, and erosion control system.
You're in.
That's all defined in the statute.
Add the reference.
Add the reference.
Maybe add the reference in there.
Add the
and
reference
say.
to that sentence and you've got it.
So
Yeah,
I think
good
that
idea.
like our
Yeah.
board can discuss proposed changes because it's on the agenda of
Yep.
the meeting. So we can take feedback from the public and then have a conversation about if we want to make amendments before we approve.
Mhm.
If we, minor amendments are fine, anything that's like just cleaning up, but obviously there's going to be substantive changes, then we would have to call another public hearing just to remind that.
Yep.
Any other comments from the public? No? Okay, great. Well, I guess then we can move on. Thank you very much for coming out. We're excited we got this to this point, right? I know it's been
And we are
process.
also, it's been a little bit, it's always been around the corner and
Yeah.
we got it.
Yeah, no, it's good. We got there and then we look forward to more projects, right? So definitely on that. So just moving on then, because we have two other ordinances and we got to get this done in 13 minutes, which I think is fine. This was clearly the one that had the biggest change. It's a new commission. The second one is the Senior Services Commission. And I know Austin, unfortunately, is tied up with all those people that are at the town campus gym right now. But really, this does not have significant changes in terms of what the commission does. We ended up aligning it in a format that is more consistent with our other town ordinances. And I think we changed terms and everything to match. We're moving to a 4-year term for all boards and commissions. And we only have alternates where there's regulatory matters now. So whereas flood erosion control has a regulatory component to it, that's where you'd have an alternate. And the reason you do that is because you need to make sure you have a quorum seated for meetings when you're a regulator. But these other commissions are advisory and they're just so that you don't really need to have alternates. And that was really the primary changes, if I recall, to this. It's quite detailed. They have we started with their old one. It's very long and we didn't want to cut it down short or too much. So we tried to just make it consistent and follow, what we have at for other ordinances.
Yeah, I sat through their redlining of the document.
Okay, you did.
And no, they did a great job and really much of it maintained consistency from what it was before, just some grammatical changes and making sure that we were using the same words throughout the document for consistency's sake.
So no major changes to how that commission operates or what its function is.
Correct.
So any public comments from the public on the Senior Services Commission ordinance? And I know we have people online, but I don't see hands raised. Nope, okay. All right, good. So with that, then we'll move on to the Youth and Family Services Board. And I think the chair is on, as well as I'm assuming Scott, if that's Scott Cochran. This was another one where they did do a revamp of this, and we tried to make it more consistent. I'm just trying to print it out, just the whole thing. You know, if they want to just highlight, you know, Scott or David, just real briefly, no substantive changes in terms of the board itself. It was just more, I think, procedural things, cleaning it up. You know,
That's accurate, Peggy, and having a couple rounds of discussions with you, as well as we had a discussion at a Board of Selectmen meeting. So really what I did was I just, and did this along with the board, just streamlined the old bylaws and made them consistent with the town charter, really. Just went through it line by line, took language directly from the charter and integrated it into our ordinance. And really the only changes, we used to elect our board officers every 2 years. Now we're just, again, in alignment with the town charter. Officers will be elected annually, and 12-member board is the same thing that we had before, and moving the terms to 4 years, again, consistent with the town charter.
Okay.
Great.
David, I don't know if you want to add anything? Nope.
You look good though, Dave. You look good.
Great. So with that, then I guess if there's any questions or, you know, public comment regarding the revised Youth and Family Services Board ordinance, please raise your hand. I don't see really any public members at this point, and no one in the room has a hand raised. So with that, then any other need to comment, and then we'll just review these and make a decision about voting if we want to make minor amendments that are that's going to be starting shortly. With that, then, I guess I will call to close the public hearing. Thank you very much for attending. And we have a
Next meeting in 10 minutes.
Next meeting in 10 minutes.